you know, most of the poor families who were living, and we were part of those poor families. My mother, well, you see, my father had 5 years of primary school, and my mother had 3 years of primary school. She worked as a nanny, taking care of white children. In other words, having no time to look after us, her children, but to earn money, having to look after our children. While my father first worked, as far as I know, he first worked after the Second World War for the Rusape Town Management Board as a messenger, on a bicycle and so on and so on. And then he got into trouble. Well, he didn't have a license for his bicycle, and was put in prison for about 6 months. And was, of course, sacked from there. Then he got another job working at a groundnut factory, because there's also a groundnut depot there, exporting to Zambia and Malawi and South Africa, and carrying all these heavy sacks, blah blah blah, and traveling to all these countries in these lorries, trucks. They really tried to. They believed, like most poor people at the time, that the only way to improve their life was education, and they always managed to. They got us all into school.
All of your brothers and sisters?
Yeah, all of us managed to get at least through primary school.
But isn't that wasn't that a rather modern outlook? To think that education would bring your children a little bit further on than their own position?
No, you see, for them it was an investment for their old age.
Yeah. But it was quite common in let's say, in that township. Most of the parents, poor parents, they thought about giving their children education because of improvement of the situation, and maybe they could the better. Care for them afterwards.
Yeah, that's exactly what is going on. And then also, you see, the one way to ensure that the kids got along was also to be very Christian, and so
Christian.
Yeah, we were all baptized in the local Anglican church. Yeah, we every Sunday. We had to go to Mass and all that, Christmas.
Praying for a better future.
That sort of thing, yes. We had this very heavy religion.
Maybe your position will be improved. That was the idea behind, maybe.
Yeah, as well as a material one. Because it was, most of the teachers there were also the priests. Mm-hmm. And they were the ones who controlled the bursaries. Or scholarships. Mm-hmm. They could recommend you. Yeah, and it was really sort of. But you see, a township like that, which started as a prison camp for so-called aliens, it meant that there was no homogeneous community. We were a mixed community, people from every place you can think of in the country, as well as people from Malawi, people from Zambia, and so on. And so there was no common culture at all. The only common thing among all of us was simply work. Work to pay the rent, to get the kids into school, to buy a sack of meal, because after a £200 bag, we could do for a family of 9 for a month, and so on and so on. Of course, do you know, all this time, the one thing we all, as kids, I remember this very much. Just to wear a pair of trousers, or just to wear shoes, that would be the sign of total luxury. Because most of us, you see, all the time, during the school days, from Monday to Friday, of course, we'd be in school uniform. But one had to take care of that, so that after school, you were back in your torn khaki shorts, with your buttocks showing, and just a single vest. You had to keep your uniform intact. You also, and shoes were not compulsory at school. My first pair of shoes were bought only when I was going to boarding school, because the boarding school had said, you must have shoes, you must have this, that. And I remember when I wore them, I was very proud of them, but at the same time, they were hurting my feet. My feet had been used to just the freedom of walking barefoot, and now you see what I'm saying is that about the mixture of peoples and cultures.
But who organized it? Because how was it organized that all those people from different places were
there was
put
a
into
white
that camp?
superintendent. There was a white superintendent who had his own black police force.
So all black people in Rusape, they were living in that.
Yeah, in Vengere.
And the whites, they had their
The whites actually.
houses outside somewhere. With
Yeah,
gardens and things.
there was a mile wide green belt.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like
it
in
was
most
really
towns.
sort of apartheid
Yeah,
in that time.
yeah. You
You
see,
had the black area in the old prison camp, and then you had the white area
yeah.
and the green.
The green belt,
in between.
at least a mile wide, in
Yeah.
between, dividing.
They were so afraid of infection.
Well, yeah,
With black culture and black anything.
yeah. Well, it was really amazing because for instance, we really admired everything about the white section of the town, and we used to go down to the rubbish dump, where all the rubbish from the white area was dumped.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, through all the dirt, we would simply search for toys. You could find broken toys, and for me, books. I got my first books from the local rubbish dump, and that book was a children's encyclopedia, an English Victorian encyclopedia called Arthur Mee's Children's Encyclopedia, a totally imperialist English children's encyclopedia, modeled for white English children. But I've managed to, I kept that book for as long as I stayed in Rusape. At the same time, of course, we would find comics there, Superman, Batman, this and that. And that's also the area where all the scrapped cars, all the broken down cars were kept, and we'd play cowboys and Indians there. Because there's a cinema there's we call it a bioscope, once every week on Fridays. And the films we were shown were always either Tarzan and Charlie Chaplin, or the Hopalong Cassidy. President Reagan was in them.
In his younger years.
In his younger years, yeah. These cowboy films, and Charlie Chaplin and Laurel and Hardy. We always looked forward to that. The only thing
But
was
you were allowed into that.
well, because
It's
it
black.
cost no. This was in Vengere itself.
Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't go to the
the
cinemas
whites,
in the white section.
no.
No, it was prohibited.
But was that a kind of, let's say, opium for the people?
Mm-hmm. Oh yes.
By the white
All the
people,
films were.
organized by the white people, so give
Yeah.
them their films and their movies and let them laugh, but stay
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. At the school, for instance, we always, we had to buy our own school books, exercise books or whatever. And one of the ways we kept up with notebooks and so on, we would go to the white schools of course, it was prohibited, to their dustbins, especially at the end of their term. You know, they would really throw away a lot of exercise books, a lot of their old textbooks, and would really get those, you know, and even fight among ourselves. Hey, I got that. Hey, that's mine. And yeah, it was really. Oh wow. As a kid, you learned very brutally about sex, because you know, sometimes most of the men believed, and I think even today, some of the men believe that, and even the women believe that the only way to show your wife or your girlfriend that you love her is to beat her up occasionally. They even say this, even today, for instance, that even the women, that if your boyfriend or your husband does not beat you up occasionally, it means he doesn't love you. It means he doesn't care what you do. And it came to one day, it was really horrible. I put it in the House of Hunger. I don't know if you remember the passage, where a man actually beat his wife in front of the public, and then raped her right there in front of us kids. The kids were there watching, and all the adults and even the policemen of the township were also watching, and everyone was taking it for granted that that is what happens with marriage.
But that's the thing that you experienced there in your childhood.
Well,
or is that a kind of literary?
Oh no, this was actually right there. It happened actually, and when I put it in the House of Hunger, it was actually exactly the way it happened. And then also, you see, at the same time, you know, the way poverty can drive one into the obscure sexual passions. If economically you cannot assert yourself, then you try to assert yourself as a human being sexually, which means any woman, any girl out there will do. And so we used to have a lot of the schoolgirls would become pregnant, I mean, in primary school, and of course get expelled. Two of my sisters, they got pregnant while doing their primary school, and by that time I was at secondary school, and me and my brother, as soon as we knew that, oh shit, they are pregnant, we knew that there was no way out for them except marriage and for the family. I believe that today maybe I would behave differently, but at the time what we did was we beat up our sisters until they told us the names of the boyfriends and where the boyfriends stayed. And then we went to the houses of the boyfriends, called them out and beat them up, and simply said, we expect you tomorrow to start marriage negotiations. And they got married. They are still together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are they happy?
I hope so, but they're still together. You see, one of the things poor people do against each other is, you know, someone thinks that the only way to get the better of the next person is to make his sister pregnant. I mean that, look, poor people, when they've got no chance of making money or no chance of having any kind of power, politically, economically, they turn on each other. They start all this sexual thing on each other's sisters.
Kind of sexual.
It's the women who suffer. Yeah.
Because you don't have any power in other respects.
Yeah. Because and then also, you see, the men have been at that time were used to being the slaves of the whites. And the black men, the only slaves they had were their women.
No, it's a kind of a chain.
Yeah. That's why you had all this heavy sexism. I wouldn't even call it sexism. I would call it women were really the lowest of the. I mean, they were the ultimate victims of the racism in this country. And I make no apology about the way I have depicted that very strongly in my books.